Before I begin this story, I need you to do something essential. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Not because of an algorithm, not because of numbers. Do it because you are about to hear a truth that few dare to tell. This is not just a narrative. It is an experience that can resonate with hidden wounds and redemptions you still hope to experience. Every second counts. Today I will take you through a night that changed the world. Not from glory, but from dust, fear, and silence. Between the Last Supper and the cross, something profound broke. Not in Jesus, in his disciples, in men who, like you and me, swore fidelity, but ran away when they were needed most. This is their story. This could be yours too. The room was filled with whispers. The steaming bread was on the table. The wine was poured with trembling hands. The disciples didn't know it, but that meal wasn't just a sacred ritual. It was a farewell disguised as custom. Jesus looked at them with eyes that knew the future, with a love that burned even knowing he would be denied, betrayed, abandoned. And as he broke the bread, the heart of heaven was also breaking. Every word Jesus spoke at that table carried eternal weight. "One of you will betray me," he said, his voice cracking with the truth. The atmosphere froze. No one wanted to look at anyone. Their hands clutched the cup. "Who? Me, Lord?" Judas gulped, hiding the storm behind a perfect mask. He had the purse. He had the trust. But he no longer had a soul. He had sold love for a few coins. Jesus knew. He always knew. But he didn't reveal it in fury. He looked at him sadly. He gave him permission. "What you are going to do it quickly." And at that moment, even though there was only one traitor, everyone began to break inside. Peter, the bravest, swore to die for him. But Jesus looked at him as one looks at a brother who is about to fall. "Before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times. No one understood, but everyone felt that something was about to be unleashed. Dinner ended, but there was no celebration. Only a dense silence, like a foreboding. Jesus led them to the garden, his place of prayer. He knew what was coming. He knew that that night would not be measured in hours, but in broken loyalties and stripped souls. While the world slept, the sky trembled, and the men chosen to change everything were left behind. In Gethsemane, Jesus knelt. His sweat turned to blood. His soul cried out to the Father in the intimacy of an anguish no one could imagine. Just a few steps away, his friends slept. Yes, they slept. Not from physical exhaustion, but from deep sadness, from a fear that crept in without a name. 3 times he woke them again. 3 times he found them defeated. They weren't prepared. They couldn't have been. Judas appeared in the shadows. The torches outlined his hardened face. A kiss, the sign. An act of love turned into the seal of an eternal betrayal. Peter reacted with rage. He drew his sword. He cut off an ear. But Jesus stopped him. "Put away your sword." He didn't come to fight with weapons. He came to surrender. At that moment, as if courage had vanished, they all ran. Everyone. And that's where the true fall began. Not on the cross. Not in the judgment. It began in abandonment. In the "I don't know him" that will be repeated more than once that night. It began in the silent flight. In the trembling of legs that walked on the water, but couldn't remain in the pain. This story isn't about brave martyrs. It's about broken men. It's ours. The torches disappeared into the distance, and with them, the courage of those who once proclaimed unwavering loyalty. Peter hid in the shadows, his breath ragged, his heart pounding with a shame that had only begun to surface. He followed at a distance, trying to stay close to the man he loved but couldn't defend. Every step echoed with doubt. Every glance over his shoulder carried the weight of his promise. "Even if all abandon you, I will not." But now he was walking, not as a protector, but as a ghost of his own conviction. The fire crackled in the courtyard. Soldiers warmed their hands while mockery and cruelty filled the air like smoke. Peter tried to blend in. One woman looked at him and pierced the veil of anonymity. "You were with him." Denial came faster than thought. "I don't know him." A second time, a third. And then, the rooster crowed. The sound didn't just announce the morning. It shattered Peter's soul. He remembered. Jesus' eyes in that moment weren't there physically, but they burned in his mind like fire. Not judgmental, just deeply knowing. That kind of look is unbearable. He ran. not away from the guards, but from himself. He cried in silence, fists clenched against the wall, blood on his knuckles, not from battle, but from the weight of guilt. Somewhere else, the other disciples had vanished, some hiding in upper rooms, others roaming the streets like broken men. Their world had collapsed in one night, the Messiah arrested, the dream crushed, the movement they had given up everything for, silenced. No one wanted to say it out loud, but the question haunted them all. What if we were wrong? The hours dragged like chains. Jesus, meanwhile, was spat on, slapped, judged by men whose hearts were colder than stone. And those he had called friends, those he loved with holy intimacy, were nowhere to be found, except for John. He didn't speak. He didn't shout. He simply stayed, eyes swollen with tears, soul torn. He watched the lamb be led to the slaughter without resistance. He was not brave. He was just present. Sometimes, that's all it takes to honor love. Pilate's hands washed, but the blood wouldn't disappear. The crowd, blind with fury, screamed, "Crucify him!" And no voice rose from the disciples. No one pleaded. No one stepped in. The silence of their absence screamed louder than the mob's hatred. Jesus stood beaten, bruised, sentenced. And still, he didn't ask for them. He didn't demand their presence. His love ran deeper than abandonment. He carried them in his heart as he carried the cross on his back. The cross rose on Golgotha. Nails pierced flesh. Thorns crowned divinity. Mockery rang in the air. And below, only John and Mary stood by. The rest, those who had seen miracles, walked on water, received the bread of heaven, were missing. Jesus looked down not with bitterness, but with final tenderness. Mother, behold your son. Son, behold your mother. Even in death, he was building family from ashes. The others, we can only imagine them trembling in corners, their hearts shredded by regret. That Friday didn't just crucify a man. It crucified their expectations. They had dreamed of a throne and got a cross. They had envisioned crowns and received splinters. Their Messiah wasn't ruling, he was bleeding. And with each drop, their confidence drained. This was not the kingdom they signed up for. That day was not just about the death of Jesus. It was the death of their illusions, their pride, their ego. But in that very death, something new was taking root, invisible to human eyes. Resurrection. The sky turned black at noon. It wasn't just an eclipse. It was as if creation itself was mourning. The earth trembled. The veil tore. The air stood still. My God, why have you forsaken me? That cry didn't just shake the heavens. It shattered hearts, even if they were hiding behind closed doors. John was still there, the only witness among the 12. He didn't hold banners. He didn't need to. His silent presence was louder than any sermon. Love doesn't always roar. Sometimes it just stays. Elsewhere, the disciples were sinking deeper into themselves. Shame wrapped around them like chains. They didn't talk. They didn't weep together. Each one was drowning in personal guilt, alone. Peter, curled in a corner, whispering through dry lips, "I denied him." James, fists clenched, punching the earth in silence. Thomas, lost in thought, faith unraveling thread by thread. They were not afraid of Romans. They were afraid of themselves. They had failed, and the cross was a mirror too honest to escape. Night fell again, but no one slept. How could they? The one who walked on water, who calmed storms, who fed thousands, now lay breathless in a borrowed tomb. They didn't even bury him. Joseph of Arimathea and Nicodemus did. The 12, those chosen to shake the world, were absent, hiding, silent, invisible. Not one helped wrap the body. Not one touched the linen. The one who washed their feet descended into the grave alone. Not because they didn't love him, but because they didn't believe they deserved to anymore. Saturday arrived like a curse. No miracles, no messages, no Messiah. Just silence. Deafening, cold silence. The kind that makes your skin crawl and your heart question everything. They weren't praying. They weren't preaching. They weren't remembering the promises. The scriptures felt distant. Hope was a myth. And yet, in the unseen, Jesus was not idle. He was descending into the depths, taking the keys of death and hell, redeeming what eyes couldn't see. But they didn't know. They only felt the failure. In that unbearable stillness, heaven was preparing the greatest reversal of all time. While the disciples clung to their grief, the sun rose on Sunday, not with trumpets, not with angelic armies, but with soft, faithful steps. Women walking to the tomb, not to celebrate, but to mourn. Mary Magdalene among them, the one healed of demons, now carrying perfumes and heartbreak. They didn't expect a miracle. They just wanted to honor what remained. But the stone was rolled away. The tomb was empty, and the silence shattered with one sentence. "Why do you look for the living among the dead?" Mary ran, not walked, ran, breathless, eyes wide, heart pounding. She didn't carry fear. She carried fire. "I have seen the Lord." But the disciples didn't believe her. Too much pain, too many wounds, too soon. But Peter and John ran. The tomb was real. The emptiness was real. And with every heartbeat, the spark of faith flickered back to life. The linens folded, the body gone, the words of Jesus starting to make sense, not in theory, but in their bones. Resurrection wasn't a concept. It was happening. Behind locked doors, fear still lingered. Shame still whispered. But Jesus didn't knock. He appeared. In the middle of their fear. "Peace be with you." He didn't shout. He didn't accuse. He showed his wounds. "Touch me." And in that moment, everything changed. Tears broke loose. Knees fell. The same mouths that denied now worshipped. He came not to avenge, but to restore. Peter, trembling. Thomas, weeping. No one was disqualified. Grace had entered the room, and it had a name. Jesus. He didn't ask for explanations. He didn't demand apologies. He breathed on them. Receive the Holy Spirit. And those who had fled, now were being sent. Those who had hidden, now would proclaim. Peter, the denier, would become a rock. Thomas, the doubter, would carry the gospel to foreign lands. Each one was restored, not because of their strength, but because of his mercy. The same hands they had seen pierced were now commissioning them to heal the world. Their story didn't end in shame. It exploded in power. Every one of them, once broken, now bold. Once silent, now thunderous. They carried crosses on their backs, but fire in their chests. Peter would be crucified upside down. Thomas would go to India. Andrew, Philip, Bartholomew. Each one gave everything. What changed them? The resurrection. The proof that their failure wasn't final. That love still called their names. That grace runs deeper than guilt. This is not just a story of ancient names and distant times. It's your story. It's mine. Because between Thursday and Friday, we all have moments where fear wins, where we hide, where we wonder if we've failed too deeply to be called again. But Sunday is coming. Resurrection is real. And the same Jesus who appeared in that locked room stands before you now, not with judgment but with peace. "Touch my wounds," he says. "I still choose you." That's not religion. That's redemption. If you've ever run, denied, doubted, or fallen, then you're exactly who he came for. He doesn't need your perfection. He wants your heart. Your scars don't scare him. Your past doesn't disqualify you. Just like Peter, just like Thomas, just like the rest, there is restoration waiting on the other side of surrender. Don't wait for your faith to be perfect. Step into the room. Look into his eyes. Let him breathe life into you again. So, what now? Follow him. Not casually, not halfway. Follow him with everything. Take up your cross. Walk in the light of grace. And if this message stirred something deep inside you, don't let it fade. Act on it. Make it count. Subscribe to the channel. Not for me, but to stay connected to the truth that has the power to restore your soul. Stay close. Stay awake. Stay on fire. The world is full of noise, distraction, and doubt. But here, in this space, you found a voice that reminds you who you are and whose you are. If this resonated with your spirit, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Speak the name of Jesus boldly. Be the one who doesn't run when the world gets dark. Be the one who stands like John, even in silence. Be the one who returns, like Peter, burning with purpose. This is not the end. It's just the beginning. If you're wondering what's next, It's simple. Subscribe to the channel and follow Jesus. Not just in word, but in action. Let your life be the sermon. Let your scars be your testimony. Let your failure be the foundation of your fire. You were never meant to stay in the shadows. You were meant to rise. My name is Oliver. I'm not a preacher, not a celebrity. Just someone who has failed, fallen, been restored, and chosen to tell the story. Thank you for walking with me through this journey. I hope it awakens something eternal in you. Until next time, stay bold, stay broken, stay burning. I'll see you soon.